Hi, Shalom Arieh, Boker Tov.
Shalom Rav.
Who are you? What's your name and where are you from?
My name is Arieh Warshel. I am originally from Israel. Now I live in Los Angeles, but I'm still Israeli. So I was born in a kibbutz named Sde Nahum, which is in Bet She'an Valley. It's near the Jordan River in the Middle East part of Israel. It's the second kibbutz to be formed by what was called Chomar Migdal, or Tower and Wall, and it was founded in 1937. I was born at 1940.
How did you contribute to the strength and to the growth of Israel?
Okay, so I first had to grow up until the age of 17 and a half, where I joined the Israeli army, where I served almost 4 years. I also helped after the army to a young kibbutz for a short while. And I also fought in two wars, the Six-Day War and the Yom Kippur War. So it helped to the defense of Israel. And then I started to attend the Technion in Haifa and to study chemistry.
And before you joined the Technion, when you fought in those wars, you also won those wars.
I did not win it single-handed, but one of them, the Six-Day War, was won swiftly, and the other, the Yom Kippur, was much harder.
You had a share in the victory.
Yes.
Yes. And so
I was in the tank corps, and I went up the Golan Heights twice. And I was also a captain in the Israeli army, if this helps.
Absolutely. So Arieh, so then you attended the Technion, and you earned your credentials in what scientifically?
Okay, so I study chemistry, which might sound boring, but it's really the field that covers a lot of other fields, and it's the opening to understanding biology. So at some stage, I understood that computers could be very effective in understanding how large molecules work, and eventually also how to find a cure to different diseases. So I basically started the field of using computers to model large molecules. The start was already in the Weizmann Institute in my PhD. And then I continue developing different approaches that eventually led to the 2013 Nobel Prize in Chemistry.
Kol hakavod. Do you see that as a strengthening of Israel?
It's strengthening of the whole scientific world, but it's also important that the original work was done in Israel, and this helped to the prestige of Israel, and also the field is important to Israel and other countries.
How has that strengthened the identity of our country?
Israel was fortunate to have several Nobel Prizes in chemistry. So it's very impressive that from such a small country, we have so many Nobel Prizes in science. All of them are in chemistry. And so this is clearly highly recognized and lead to collaboration with Israel and to recognition that such a small country can lead to such a big things. Also, I might mention that I'm the only kibbutz-born member who ever received a Nobel Prize, and it's important because in a kibbutz, they don't train you from the beginning toward science. So it shows for the kids that you are educating that it does not matter where you started from, you could still do great things.
Absolutely. What did the kibbutz teach you?
Kibbutz teach us essentially there were hardly examinations and only punishment for not doing exams was not to be allowed to see the once a week movie, which was held outside. So people who did not want to study did not study. And the overall education was focused more on cultural things, on history, on educations for the left-leaning movement, ideology, and less for science.
Did it increase your pride in Israel?
The kibbutz, essentially, the kibbutz movement is what saved Israel in the independent war, because a small number of kibbutzim were the basis for what was called the Palmach, which was the elite army of Israel that saved it in the independent war. So from the beginning, we have a great pride in Israel. In the IDF, there was disproportionately large number of Israeli officers, pilots, and other things who went from the kibbutz.
Very interesting. Okay, so Arieh, so thank you for your service. Thank you for the identity that you've contributed to strengthening and to the pride of Israel. I have another question for you. What do you wish for Israel on her 73rd?
Mainly peace, security, and with this prosperity, great advances in science, but the most important things would be existence in peace.
Thank you so much for contributing to our Israel celebration and for the education and the first-hand knowledge of what it means to be Israeli to you and to the children of Temple Beth David.
Thank you very, very much, and all the best to the kids.